Hello and welcome to this week's Trade of the Week on Monday, the 21st of March, with me, Axel Rudolph, market analyst at IG. Last week, we went long the British pound against the Japanese yen, and we did so for a technical reason, but also with in mind the fundamental background, because we expected the Bank of England to raise interest rates for the third time in a row, which it did, to 0.75%, whereas we believed that the Japanese central bank on Friday would keep interest rates unchanged, and that is exactly what happens. And you can see here that the currency pair, the British pound against the Japanese yen, has risen very sharply over the last week or so. And last week's trade of the week was based on us basically coming back. We were trading around the 154 yen mark towards the red line here, which is the 200-day simple moving average. And interestingly enough, that happened quite a few times over the last few weeks. We had it acting as resistance back in mid-December, then as support back in late January and also in late February. And here we broke through it last week, and then it acted as support. So we went long on this trade at 153 yen and 35 cents, with a view for the currency pair to rise all the way back up towards the 158 yen mark. And we are nearly there at the moment, trading around the 157 mark or so. For those of you who went long on this trade, it would probably make sense to raise one stop to at least break even, or even higher, perhaps to below the orange line here, which is the 55-day simple moving average, around 155 yen and 32, or perhaps below this breached downtrend line, which has been in place since early February, and that comes around the 154 yen mark. So that was last week's trade, quite successful. And this week, I would like to look at the Dow Jones Industrials average. And you can see here that we formed a double bottom chart pattern. Now, this pattern is basically happening when you have a fall, then a bounce back, and then another fall retesting the previous lows, and then the rise above the midpoint of the pattern. So it looks like a W. And this is what we've seen here on the Dow Jones Industrial Averages Index. And you can see that we last week had 4 very strong bullish candles here, and we rose by nearly 5% or around 5% or so in the Dow, and are only about 6% away from its all-time high at the moment. Now, very short term, we are banging against a downtrend line which has been in place since the beginning of the year, and it is quite likely that we will actually come off this area and retrace slightly lower. And this might be then an opportunity to go long on the Dow Jones Industrials average around the 34,100 area. Why? Because we had about a week's worth of highs being made between 34,000, 34,200. So that's a good area to go long at, with a stop loss then being placed below the last reaction low. And the last reaction low is simply a candle where the lowest point of the candle is lower than the one to its left and to its right. And this was made at 32,680. And if we were to go long around 34,100, we would be targeting probably new all-time highs around the 37,000 mark or so going forward. Now, with regards to the stop loss, it will probably make sense to make that a stop and reverse order. So not just a stop loss, but actually going short a position if it were to be triggered, simply because, as you can see, we've had a move up, down, and up. And in the past, we have seen these sort of moves before. And every time we did so, we actually declined after that. So it's possible that this is just a bounce and a retracement and corrective formation. And then the downtrend actually continues. And that's why I would place a stop and reverse order on this trade and not just a simple stop loss order. Having said all that, given the strong advance last week, given the fact that we formed this double bottom, the odds are short term at least pointing towards higher levels being seen, and the February high at 35,862 being in our view here. If we were to go above there, it's very likely that we would make all-time highs. So today's trade of the week is to go long the Dow Jones Industrials average at around 34,100 with a stop loss at 32,680 and an upside target of around 37,000.
For more videos from us here at IGTV, join us on Twitter at IGCom, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.